evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to my book chat tonight. It might be evening or morning wherever you are, but we're so glad that you're here. And tonight is going to be an adventurous one. My name is Melody McAllister, and if this is your first time joining us or you join us every chance you get, I want to thank you. You can catch the live broadcast every Wednesday from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can catch the replay on these same channels. I want to give a special shout out to the Teacher Goals Connected School communities and Thrive in Edu community. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now I'd like to introduce the author of the Goldflower Adventure series. I'm just holding one of these books, Chiffon Strickland Jenkins. Her 5-book series is a wonderful addition to your personal and classroom libraries. She has made representation a very important part of this collection so every child can see themselves, and the themes of working together and making a plan, finding the positive, and going beyond your own limitations are strong. It had like a Narnia and Harry Potter feel at times, but definitely geared towards your younger readers. Each book adds to the next, but I read it a little out of order and still felt like I understood the storyline. These books are great to start at this time of year especially, but the themes make them relevant all year long. So Chiffon, it's not a trick. It's such a treat to have you here with me tonight. How are you? And can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Hello, Mel. I am good. I am so happy to be here. I'm very, very excited. I've been looking forward to chatting with you. I'm glad you have me on your show. Just to tell a little bit about myself, I grew up in Lumberton, North Carolina. Go Tar Heels. We currently live in Charleston, my husband and I. We have one son, an adult. I work for a medical nonprofit full time, so writing is sort of a side passion for me. I actually started writing the book series in 2014.
Oh, wow.
And I finished the 5th book of the series this year. No, oh my God, I'm getting my years off. Yeah, this year, early this year. Yeah, I'm getting my years all mixed up. 20.
Well, it's easy to do.
It feels like one long year. So
it is easy to do. And you're right, it does, because even I find myself wondering, like, is it, the last 2 years have been a blur. So you have a full-time job and you're writing. How did you get started with the Goldflower Adventures? Like, what was your, go ahead and tell me. Yeah.
I get asked that quite a bit, but it was my grandmother. So my grandmother is the inspiration for the very first book. Can you guys see that? A Day with Gran. Her name is Lorraine McIver Strickland. She passed away several years ago, but she was the rock of our family and the rock of my life. So when she passed away, I wanted to find or to do something to sort of keep her memory alive with us, and also to share her with the world, because she was phenomenal. And so that's how A Day with Gran came about. The series wasn't originally supposed to be a series. I started out writing like just short stories, and then once I started writing, it sort of turned into more, and the characters started to grow more. And I said, you know what? I have, little Olivia has such an imagination. Let's give her some fun stuff to do. Let her run into some, strange creatures, and let her go to, imaginary worlds, but also let it be stories that young kids and adults really can relate to, and maybe there'll be some teachable moments woven into the fun. So that's how it kind of came about.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree that there's a lot of teachable moments in these stories, which is great. And the maturity level of the characters also struck me as kind of hilarious. I feel like we all have that Josie friend.
I have to tell you a funny thing about the characters. So, of course, there's Gran, and then there's Olivia. So Olivia is really funny how Olivia is a little bit of me. Well, she's a lot of me, and a lot of me in my younger day, because when I was younger, I was very, very shy. But of course, not anymore. But her friend Josie is hilarious.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my God, she will just whip words out at you and put you in your place in a heartbeat. And then Marvin is actually based on my husband Mervin. So the love for superheroes, and wanting to save the world and all of that, that's him. to a T. So, and then the other characters mingling. So I wanted to also, make sure there was diversity in there so everyone can relate. And even growing up, I had friends from, all walks of life, all ethnicities. So that just seemed natural to me. But it's really funny how the girl characters, they also have a little bit of me woven into them. So since Mingland loves fashion, that's sort of a little bit of me. Josie's sassiness is a little bit of me as an adult, the adult me. Um, Olivia's, kind-heartedness, that's me as well. The twins, Isabella and Maria. I'm an only child. And so I grew up with all of my cousins, and so they were like brothers and sisters to me since I didn't have any of my own siblings. And we used to play at my grandmother's farm and just do all kind of imaginary things, like in the woods and in the backyard, just all over the place. Um, and so I always wished that I was a twin, not just to have a sibling, but to actually be a twin. And I always wish that I could speak Spanish. I wish that I could sing. So, those are the things that Isabella and Maria do. So they're all a part of me in a way, but they also have their individuality. So
I love that. I love that you like even made a character for Mervyn, because I wondered if there was that connection. I
yeah,
definitely thought there was probably a connection because when I was reading your biography, I thought this is definitely I can see how it's based on your childhood. And really, the relationship that Olivia has with Gran is pretty powerful because in our society we don't always value, our elders, the seniors,
exactly.
and so that is a really great, theme in itself that would be great for exploration, like with your kids or in the classroom. So that's great. So when we talk about like your inspiration, I love all of that. But what about your writing process? You have a full-time job. How did you get 5 stories out?
You, ah, there, I think I just had to make it a priority at times. So um, there were times when I would just have a little handy dandy notebook and I would jot ideas down, or some. It's really funny. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I would actually dream about it. And so I'd have to make sure as soon as I got up, which seems kind of strange, as soon as I got up, I kind of wrote it down or did something so that I wouldn't forget the idea. And so
Hmm.
there's lots of like little bullet points and things like that. And then I kind of expand on it. And as I wrote one book, it made it easier to sort of write the other one, because when you read the books, it is better to read them in order because they sort of go back to the previous story.
Hmm.
Or when you get to book 4, it might go all the way back to book 1 and reflect on something. So like when you're, yeah, Sisters
This
of
the book
Chaos,
4 is
you
my
know
favorite.
that's your favorite. Okay,
Yeah.
when you're watching a movie and people have like a memory. And so
Right.
I love those. And Mervyn and I watch movies all the time. And so I
Hmm.
love a good backstory. And so that was part of the writing process for me too, is kind of thinking about it as a movie. And if it
Hmm.
was one, how would it flow? How would it, play out? And so, and there were times when I couldn't write at all. And
Hmm.
so that writer's block really, it's true. It
It's
happens. And I think for when you look at the books when they were published, there are times like there's a whole year in between when I didn't publish anything, and it's because I felt stuck. But and I just kept saying, okay, I'm going to write. I'm going to make myself write something, and it wouldn't come to me. I wouldn't get the feeling. It wouldn't flow. But once I got started, it was easy. Like I would sit at the computer for hours and type and put stuff down, write, chapters at a time, and then come back to them and reread them, and then go back. And so with the series, I would have to go back to the other books, listen to them, because they're audible, so it makes it easier to go back and listen and say, oh wait, what did I say here? It has to make sense. Let me go back to it. So the process was long, because I started in 2014. It ended in 2021. So it's like a 7-year period. So it took a while. In my mind, I was thinking, oh, I was going to do one each year, but I got stopped in my tracks. And I'm glad that I that I didn't force it, because once I finished it, I was like, oh yeah, this feels good. Because, you know, anytime you're writing a series, you want to make the ending worthwhile. Like
Right.
once we get to the end, like, oh yeah, this is it. This makes sense. This is what I've been waiting for. And hopefully that's how everyone will feel once they read the last book, which is called Secrets Revealed. So
I loved it. I can't wait for the Netflix series personally. So I want to say, Amanda, thank you for tuning in. And she says that she sleeps with her laptop. She's an author also. So,
oh
but
hey Amanda.
and so you would wake up and write your ideas down, which I think is so smart because I can never remember mine. But you didn't write it out. You like typed it out,
I
right?
typed it out. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I actually had to type it out. And
Yeah.
it's really funny. I actually, when I was doing them as short stories, I would write the short story from beginning to end. And then once I got serious about it and wanted to make it into a series, I actually, some of what I originally wrote wasn't
Right.
even in the final book. Hmm.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it truly is a process.
Did you make other people read it? Like, did Merv have to read it, or did you
He
have people that would?
in the beginning he read like A Day with Gran. He would read that, but after that, no, he wouldn't really do it. He would hear me talking about it out loud and like, oh God, what am I going to do? What if, you know, how would she respond? What would Olivia say? What would Gran say? It's crazy, but but I did have someone that I trusted that I could go to actually read them before I published them, to make sure the continuity was there. So I really appreciated having that person to do that for me.
Yes, and Amanda's asking, do you have a favorite place or time to write? Thanks, Amanda.
I really enjoyed, of course, like Saturdays and Sundays were my favorite times to write, because I know I wouldn't have any interruptions since I work full time. So if I started out early in the morning, I could just go all the way through. And there were times when I would do that. Like I would just get up enough to eat, use the bathroom, and then
Yes.
like get right back to it, because it felt so good when it was flowing. I felt like I had to take advantage of it. And so I just stuck with it. But there were times when I would write at least 3 or 4 chapters in like 2 days. And then of course you got to go back and proof and add in and take out and all that kind of stuff. But it was awesome. But I would actually just sit at the kitchen table and just write. I wouldn't have to be like closed up in a room or anything. Like I wouldn't have the TV on or anything, but just at the kitchen table, a cup of coffees, tea or something. It was yeah. That's all I really
Yeah.
needed.
I hear you, and like for me, it like sits in my head for a while. Like it sits and it sits and it sits, and then I just have to like put it out there.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how long did it take you to like actually do it when you thought, okay, I have a story to write, and you said you didn't think, oh, I have 5 stories to write. Like it didn't start out that way. How long did it take you from that idea to actually doing it?
I would say maybe 3 or 4 months if I stuck to it. If I didn't let anything just kind of get in the way and stay focused, I would say 3 or 4 months.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah.
And I know this is kind of a mean question to ask, and I know we shouldn't be asking moms these kinds of questions, especially. But do you have a favorite book in the series?
Yeah. A Day with Gran is my very favorite book, um, just because she meant so much to me. And if it wasn't for her, I don't think I ever would have even started the series. She was the sort of person that always told us to never give up on anything. If we wanted to do it, just try it. You know, you got to keep moving. That was her favorite thing to say. Just keep it moving. Um, and I just want people. I want to share her with the world, and I want people to read the books and get a sense of her. Like, if I think grandparents, I'm not a grandparent yet, but I think grandparents are the best thing since sliced bread. Best, best, best. Like growing up with my grandmother meant so much to me, and what meant even more is that my son also had a chance to spend time with her.
Hmm.
So he was an adult when she passed
Hmm.
away, and he knew her since the day he was born. And so he saw her like every day for years, and that meant a lot to him. Like
Hmm.
even now he'll talk up, like we call her Grand. We really do call her Grand. and he'll say, I miss Gran, you know. He is in the music industry, and he wrote a song about her last month, and he sent it to us, and it was like, oh wow, she would be so proud, because you know he was her oldest great grand, and she used to put responsibility on him for his younger cousins, like they're going to look at you, they're going to do what you're going to do. Like when he was little, he used to jump off the porch to see if they could jump over her flowers that were at the base of the porch. And of course, sometimes they would jump on the flowers. And she was like, you can't do that, Torrin. You know, they're going to do what you do. So you got to set the example. So she was always teaching us and, you know, just trying to make us better people overall.
Right.
Yeah. And a really funny thing, too, that I think I want people to know is that when you read the stories and you hear some of the names, if you know me personally, you will know that they are my family members. And so the Torrin Forest, book number 3, is named after my son. His name is Torrin. And then Sisters of Chaos. So Eva, the Great Witch, is my mom. And Joan the Enchantress is my aunt, her sister.
Oh my goodness. How did they respond to that?
Yes. So when you read it, it's phenomenal. They know, of course, and they, of course, gave their blessing, but it is, yeah. My grandmother actually had 15 kids. She had 10 girls and 5 boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
incredible. And people think I have a lot of kids with 5, so that is so incredible. And we have a fan watching, or you have a fan. Not mine. You have a fan. Mariana says she read this with her niece.
Hey,
So
Mariana.
yes.
Hello.
Do you think you could read just a little bit about your story about Gran? Just maybe the opening.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. So let's see. Okay. So I'll just read the little bit of the first chapter. Is that good?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. So this is book 1. So chapter 1 is called The Gift. Olivia woke up excited. Why, you ask? Well, today she was going to Gran's house. In Olivia's mind, spending a day with Grandma was better than going to Disney World. Well, at least today it was. Not only was she lots of fun, but she was also extremely kind and loving. And of course, it was an extra bonus that she liked to bake cakes and cookies. And so in that chapter, Olivia has a gift for Gran. And when she gives it to her, not to give it away, but when she gives it to her, you know, Gran lets her know, because Olivia explains how she saved her money up to get it, and her mom took her to the mall to get it. And then Gran, you know, she emphasizes that it's not how much the gift cost, but the fact that she thought enough of her to save her allowance up to bring something special to her. So it's just little moments like that, I think, in the book that sometimes kids, you know, may not have experienced or haven't heard someone say that to them. Like in book 2, The Rainbow Amulet is all about the power of teamwork and friendship. There are times when they want to give up on each other, you know,
Right.
or they doubt themselves. And then they realize that we're in this together. If we're going to get out of it, we have to get out of it together. And so they find a way to make that happen. And it's the power of that teamwork that actually helped them do that. So it's sort of like in book 2, their superpower was teamwork and friendship. So
Yeah, and they even talk about in the last book how I think it's the last book when they doubt that because she's not the great human as a child. They're just like, so like, what, you're supposed to be our hero, but you're this little girl. I love that. And then she talks about her friends and how together they
they can
can
do
do
so much
amazing
more.
things. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, and I really think, I wish, that's really what school seems like, a great place to talk about in school, like that kind of learning. And there was always like this, well, we have to make a plan. And then like Josie would usually tell Marvin his plan was terrible. But like, I just feel like there's a lot of learning here that could happen, and that reading these are fun, but you could then apply, and I'm always a teacher and I'm always a mom, so I'm thinking like, how can I apply that to just everyday learning and what we're doing, whether it's right or wrong?
Right or wrong. And one good thing about that too, with Josie, because she's so short tempered and she doesn't have patience. If it's not going her way, she doesn't feel like being bothered with it. But she does really have a good heart, because you'll see
Right.
in some of the other stories how she makes sacrifices and she does this, she does that, but she puts on this facade. But one thing too, I always wanted to make sure that even when she bickers with somebody, they make up. They
Yes.
don't hold that grudge. They always make up. And someone always has to be the bigger person, whether it's Marvin or whether it's Josie or whether it's even Olivia, just trying to be the peacemaker and say, look, you
Right.
guys, we have to, you know it's not this is not the time. This is not the time to argue about this. We're in a mess right here, like Josie always says, Olivia, you've gotten us in a mess. So
Right.
what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So
I love that. And just you once you read the series, you get to know these characters. Like we're talking about them like they're real people, and that's what is so cool. I
yeah,
love that because you feel like you get to know them.
thank you.
Netflix, I wish that you watched my book chat because this is a great series I think that you would have for young people. And let's talk about the resources on your website. Like you've got some great things going on.
So I wanted to be able for anyone, like growing up as a kid, when I did something, I always liked when the teacher gave me recognition for it, if it was a certificate or whatever the case may be. So on the website, goldfloweradventures.com, there's a place where once your kid finishes the book, or the adult finishes the book, there's a place where you can print a certificate of completion for each book. And so they're all printable. You would have to fill in the name and everything, but it says, certificate that you completed it. There are also some uh, word find puzzles out there.
So I'm yeah,
So
I'm gonna
if you're with your kids, you want to print them out before you go somewhere, but you want them to sort of be busy while you're sitting doing something. Print them out. Let them do the word search. It should be under games, I think.
yes, yes. Can you see
You'll be
if
able
I
to
scroll
see the word.
down?
Yep,
Do you
there
see
you
it?
go.
Okay,
The
good.
word find puzzles, and there's one for each book. And then also there are uh, like jigsaw puzzles, I guess you would say. So when you
Okay.
click on the cover of the book,
Oh,
when you
down
click on
here.
it, yep, there
Oh
you
my
go.
gosh,
When
I
you
didn't even
click on
see
there,
this.
it turns into pages. So if you click on one, it will turn into small pieces. And then there's a timer for you to bring the pieces back together.
Oh my goodness, that is so
So you should
cool.
try it. It took me forever. The first time I did them, I tried to time myself, and it seemed like it took me forever. I had the book in front of me, the cover, so I could cheat and see. Oh wait, it goes over here. This is this corner. So
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is
yeah,
really neat. I know my kids would really like that.
yeah.
And then I don't want to like completely, okay, so if I go back home, okay, I have to go back. Okay, you can see my screen. Great.
I
And
see it.
so
Yep.
awesome. So there's jigsaw puzzles and there's the word I love these word puzzles. And also you talked about the certificate and that
It
is
should be. I think it's on page one.
on the home.
I think
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. There's your bio, and then here is the wonderful certificates.
certificates. Mhm.
Awesome. Yay! And you can see them. I'm doing it right. Wonderful. I think this is great. What has the response been from those people who've actually visited?
It's been great. Yeah. It's sort of like you were saying. It's sort of a fun thing to go out there and see the certificates, see the puzzles, something for the kids to remember their accomplishments, or just something fun to do. The jigsaw puzzle, I remember someone telling me, was really fun because the kids were able to compete. So, like, if they had each kid had an iPad or whatever, when you do the jigsaw puzzle, like I said, it had a timer, and so they were able to race each other to see who could put the cover back the fastest. Yeah, so it's pretty neat.
Oh, that is so cool. Oh, and you can't see it. I went to it and then I guess you can't see my screen. I
I
didn't do
see
it
your
right.
screen.
Oh,
And
you did?
also
Okay.
too, if you go on the store, there are
Yeah.
so the series has a theme song, and then it has another song to that you can download from Apple Music or from iTunes at the very I want to say it's at the very, is it at the bottom? So
Oh,
those are the
there's
dolls.
dolls.
The dolls
Oh,
are all custom made. So when you go to get them, the person that you will reach out to will make them by hand. But they're made to order. So when you, it'll take. That's why it says it takes 2 to 4 weeks, because she actually hand
wow.
makes them. They are
That's
really really cute
amazing.
dolls. And so this is the two songs. And then so on anything anywhere is a wonderful song. Our friend Meredith McCoy actually recorded that song for me. It's phenomenal voice. It's a very inspirational song. I wish anyone listening, please download it, listen to it, whatever. And then We Dream is actually Mervin, my husband Mervin, who on here he goes by Jinky Jinks, and his sister Melissa goes by Goldflower on here, and they actually recorded that song for the book series. It is
That is
it's
so
sort of a
cool.
rap. It's actually a rap song. It's awesome.
Oh my goodness. I want to listen to it right now, but I'm afraid with all the difficulty I had to go on that it will just not
That's
work.
okay. Just let me listen to them and let me know what you think. Just
I
send me a
will.
message.
I will. I love that. I definitely want the dolls, especially. I was always like this dolls. Like I love dolls. I still love dolls. I don't play with them anymore, but they're just cute to have around. And of course, I have 3 daughters. So that is great. Well, thank you so much for number one, for writing these wonderful books. They're great. And I really want to just say, if you're watching, these are great books for your classroom or your personal library. These, and they're not hard to read. So they're
Right.
they're kind of quick, and I know that my kids love graphic novels, but I've been trying to get them into chapter books more because I want them to be able to do both. I don't mind
Right.
graphic novels, but I still want them to kind of be able to read, a little bit longer. And so that's one of the reasons I really like this. And I feel like they kind of get a little bit longer
They
as the
go. They do. They do. And just for like, if you have listeners out there that really don't like to read, so they're not to read,
That's
but
right.
they're in paperback, Kindle, and they're all 5 now in Audible. So if you just want to, if you want to download it from Audible so your kids can listen to it while you're driving in the car. Sometimes too, I've always sort of recommended that if you have a kid that is new at reading, sometimes it's good to download the Audible, but also have the Kindle or the paperback and let them follow along with the words.
Oh, that's great. That
So
is a
it sort of
great
helps them
idea.
recognize what they're hearing. Yeah,
That is a great idea. I love it so much. Thank
yeah.
you. And I mean, I had gone through your website, but it has so much more than I even knew. So I'm so excited because right now everybody's feeling tired. Kids are feeling tired. Adults are feeling
Hmm.
tired. You've put these free resources on there and they're just fun. And,
Yeah.
we all need just a little bit more fun. So this has been such a great talk with you, Chiffon. Thank you for everything that you're doing. I always ask my guests, are there any last words that you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
Um, I just want to thank everybody who ever picked up a book, even if you didn't finish it, if you just made the effort to do anything with the Goldflower Adventures. I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really, really do. And hopefully there'll be more to come. The series is the 5 books, but my ultimate dream would be to eventually have it as an animated series. So Netflix, Hulu, any of you guys, if you're out there listening, hey, I got some material for you. So
Right. I wish
yes.
I had
Hey
contacts.
Valerie.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, Valerie, and tuning in. I wish if I had contacts with these, movie people, I would totally like I give it my approval as a mom, as an educator, as a writer. Like these are great. I love what you've
Thank
done.
you.
And
Thank
it's
you.
it fits with the season right now, but again, like I said earlier, it's the themes resonate all year long. They're powerful themes. They're themes that are good conversation starters. They're pretty deep, but they're
Yeah.
good, like they don't necessarily have to be deep for a kid to be confused or anything, but they're deep to
Right.
like talk about with your children. So I just think
Exactly.
it's great. Yes.
Exactly. Teachable moments. Teachable
Heck
moments.
yes, for real. Well, thank
Well,
you again. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you, and I appreciate Merv for helping and like connecting us. And he's when he posted that I bought this a couple of years ago, so he posted, and I was like, yeah, like I want to support, and I'm so glad I did. This is great, and
Thank you.
thank you, and I hope we get to collaborate again soon. Stick around, don't go away.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
And
Early happy Halloween, everyone.
yes. Early happy, and I don't know if you can see this, but I even painted webs on my eyes. It looks ridiculous tonight, but it was fun. All right,
it looks
everybody.
good, girl. It looks good.
See you next week.
Okay.